think it can be across the whole user journey. So what we've seen in our portfolio, it's usually not a like let's shift the whole company towards AI, but it's where do we have problems, identify the problems where it's like conversion drop off, or where could we actually help sellers increase their revenue. And then we often in the marketplace case see it more as small features that are AI enabled than betting the whole ship on AI per se. And so that's what I encourage founders to do as well, is like think about, well, what are the problems, or where do we see this could actually help me increase, sell more, or save costs, and then think about what you could do.
I coded back in the 90s as a teenager, wasn't a very cool kid, and I have, weirdly enough, it reminds me of the late 90s when everyone talks about the internet as if it's like a separate thing that some people will use and some don't. I almost find the distinction about whether you use AI or not a nonsensical one. Like, we will all be using AI in every aspect of our businesses in a few years. And so any marketplace that isn't considering using an AI almost worries me. At the same time, what I think people get confused by is that just because you're using AI doesn't mean you're an AI business. And so marketplaces can be using AI to find efficiencies, and I find it bizarre if they're not. But there's very few that are using AI in a disruptive way at the moment, and that could be quite interesting to see how that happens. We've seen a little bit with machine learning. For example, Fair, the B2B marketplace, started by using machine learning to optimize its underwriting, but I think we've yet to see generative AI having a big impact on marketplaces in a disruptive way.
Yeah, I think there's two areas where I see particularly exciting stuff happening. So one is really about how AI really transforms the shopping experience by making it much more personalized. So I think previously most of the shopping journeys were based on recommendations you would get based on previous transactions you made. And I think actually here's where AI comes in, and I think AI is much better in understanding the context and also the intent that you have as a buyer. So I think this will ultimately lead to a much more a customer journey that is tailored to you as a customer. I think the second element, where that's a bit more on the B2B side probably, where I see AI coming in, is that they will also take a much more operational role in a business. So especially in fields around dynamic pricing optimization or supply chain management, I really think there's a future where AI is actually there to not only predict demand, but also change the prices, manage your inventory, and actually making sure that you will get the packages delivered to the right place at the right time without actually too much human interference. So it's really about, on the one side, changing the customer journey, and on the other side, the application level of having effectively AI taking over some parts of your operations.
I do think that, so first of all, we are seeing today like operational improvements. I think, I forget the stat, this has probably gone up by now, but something like 30% of code that, like new code that was checked into GitHub repositories was actually generated by GitHub Copilot, as an example. So if you're a software developer, like the speed at which you can write new software is going to increase, and that's happening today. I mentioned marketing, right, with one of our companies where they were able to produce a marketing campaign just by using Midjourney and a few text prompts. So again, like the operational improvements that companies can see today, I think are very, very real and tangible like examples of AI. What's interesting though, it's hard to say where we'll be in a year or 2 years from now, because the rate at which these algorithms are learning and updating is incredible, and it's only getting faster and faster. So I think it's really hard to answer that question, but I think what's exciting is we're seeing very real applications today, and I think as those applications become more commonplace, that pace of innovation just goes up.
We're seeing increasingly more regulated marketplace investing, which brings all of the complexities around dealing with regulation, whether that's KYC, KYB, kind of more services around bringing regulated supply on, and how you keep margins high while having a more intensive kind of work process. This is not a new trend, but it's accelerating. We're seeing more and more fintech-enabled marketplaces with financial services around them, and thinking about how you keep users engaged using your wallets in a high-interest environment when you're not an interest-bearing kind of institution is something that people are thinking through, which is kind of an interesting problem to solve. What else am I seeing? I'm seeing more and more kind of what I'm calling balance sheet marketplaces, although I need to come up with a better word for that. But basically this idea that huge institutions, primarily insurers and reinsurers, who've been renting their balance sheet as real monoliths, are being disrupted and or partnering with marketplaces that are trying to bring kind of financial capacity on board, whether that's across insurance or other verticals, mostly in the DeFi space.
I think it's really important that as a kind of convinced marketplace investor to take this long-term view, knowing that eventually it will pay off greatly if you manage to reach liquidity, reach critical mass, reach network effects, and see that they are truly unfolding. It can be an extremely profitable business that is more profitable than any other business out there, with yielding EBITDA margins of 70% plus, and that's what we see also in incumbent players that are just operating general classified sites, but you can get, I think, to even higher take rates, and therefore also in absolute terms higher profits for more up-to-date modern marketplace models.
So in general, you think the marketplace model itself is well suited for an economic downturn?
It's well suited for an economic downturn, also because if you really follow the marketplace logic, then you can actually, you don't hold any inventory. You are asset light, so you can also scale up and down much more easily than kind of a conventional inventory carrying business. So I think it really depends, the proof is in the pudding in terms of, or devil is in the detail in terms of what kind of model are you really pursuing. But if you are a true marketplace that is asset light, then you are very well suited for any economic downturn or upturn, and I think they scale up and down very quickly, easily, and that makes it very resilient actually.
AI per se is a buzzword, and intelligence is quite loaded. What we do is, pieces or methods, which are kind of put together on a term of AI we apply. So there's machine learning components. We have at scale setting our prices. We have optimization algorithms which try to optimize our network. We have face and video recognition to check in people in our trains, and we play around with large language models, to really make the interaction on a customer service perspective better. So there is some, but these are tools. Like the cloud used to be a tool, 10 years ago, and you have to apply the tools which suit best for your business. In our case, business is moving people from A to B, and therefore you obviously look at always the best tools at hand, and AI will not go away, and is one toolbox where you better look into.
So at Olio, we're using AI in a very specific way, in particular around managing the quality of the listings that are coming onto the platform and making sure that they comply with our rules. So we have been doing some really, really successful experimentation with ChatGPT there. We also are increasingly looking to use AI for community management, and so helping us identify bad actors on the platform and then take automated actions off the back of that, and also harnessing the tools of sentiment analysis, for example, so that we can understand in a more holistic way the value that a particular member is bringing to our community beyond just their transactional